Good evening, everybody. Is it on? Time is of the essence, so we have to get going here. We have 20-minute time slots for each of these 6 finalists in our second annual competition here, the Pitch Night, Pitching Tech Businesses. I'd like to thank our esteemed panel. We have George Buzzy, Jim Kostler, Cliff Reynolds, and John Dearborn here, and it's a great honor that they're willing to spend their time here helping us out on this. We hope to make this an annual event, and it is sponsored with funds from the Burton D. Morgan Foundation, which sponsors our entire entrepreneurship series of events. And I hope before you leave tonight, you each grab one of our new calendars. It's hot off the presses. We just put it together today. And it's all our programs starting in January and running through May. So without any further ado, we're going to start with, let's see, who's first?
We've got Lufthaus.
Lufthaus.
I've got a PowerPoint clicker for you too.
Oh, perfect.
Here we are. We just have to speak into the mic for filming purposes. So
All right.
you can take this out too,
Oh.
if you want.
I don't have hands. All right.
So,
Wonderful.
okay.
Thanks. All right. Sorry, I don't want to break it. Thank you. Work? Yep. Great. All right, well, lucky me, I'm first. Hello, everyone. So by the end of this presentation, I'm going to teach you how to make walls talk. All right, so bear with me. We'll go through the rest of it slowly, and we'll start here. So pretty soon, it will be possible to broadcast a video from the walls of, say, a Playhouse Square to anyone who walks past. And this can be anything. So this could be a walking tour, for example, or it could be even in a retail store or in a restaurant, right? And this is made possible through Bluetooth waves. So if any of you are history people, you might recognize what I just said. It's very similar to something that a man named Lee DeForest said almost over 100 years ago about radio. So he's widely accredited with being the father of radio. And what people didn't realize at that time, that I don't think they realize today, is that we're on the cusp of a revolution in the way we communicate, in the way we broadcast. So what I'm here to talk to you about is what I have here. I'm going to illustrate. This is an iBeacon. So you can think of this as a tiny individual broadcast station that you can place anywhere, and it can broadcast any kind of media. So rather than tell you, I'm just going to illustrate. And I know it's hard to see from the back, but what I have here is my mobile application. And so I'm going to pick a channel, and that channel is going to be the Burton D. Morgan Pitch Competition. And as I'm close, welcome to the second annual Pitch Night at the Hudson Library, sponsored by the Burton D. Morgan Foundation. So basically, what we just saw was that I approached this beacon, and it triggered a message specific to this time and place, this specific event. So how do we make this possible? We'll go back. So our solution is a 3-part system designed to make this technology that's only been available for under a year, really, commercially available to just about anyone. So we've got 3 pieces. We've got our content management system, which is a web-based system. We have our mobile application, which then communicates with these little devices, these iBeacons. Oops. Oh, no. All right, so what we do is we source this hardware from a variety of different manufacturers. And the manufacturing field for these little beacons has really exploded over the past few years. So there are a bunch of different brands, and we can get these for about $10 each. They're durable, they last on a battery for up to 4 years, and they broadcast a little signal. You can place them pretty much anywhere. So this is our website. It's developed completely in-house. So all a customer has to do is register on our website, and then they just upload any media, so audio, video, any kind of content to the website and connect it to this device. We also have a mobile application, so then as a consumer, as you're walking around, you can download on your iPhone or Android for free an application that will let you consume that piece of media that they put up, just like I did here. So we've actually tried this. This is live in the Western Reserve Historical Society over in the University Circle area. And this was our first customer. We did an exhibit that was for their 1964 when Brownstown was title town event. So as you walk around that exhibit, you'd walk up to, say, a big picture of Jim Brown, and it would trigger a highlight reel of all of his highlights. And then you'd walk over to the next player right next to him, and it would trigger his highlight reel. And so it really got to, you had to interact with the exhibit experience. So this is our next up. It's with a company called City Prowl that curates content for guided audio tours of downtown. And we're going in the arcade, and we're working with the arcade management to also get their retailers on board so that you combine the history with the experience of getting to know the place and connecting with what's currently there. So this is another example, and this is one done by one of our competitors. But South by Southwest, this is a really cool example for a couple of reasons. One, it was an amazing use case that shows the potential for this technology at a large scale to connect people that are in a specific place with media and content that's available. The second thing is that illustrates something about the competitive, the marketplace right now, which is that most of our potential competitors are focusing on these massive, large-scale installations. And by focusing on smaller installations and making it easy for anybody to just do this themselves, we're really differentiating ourselves. So this just illustrates the potential for the beacon market. So in the next few years, basically, these are going to be everywhere. And we're really on the cusp of that revolution, watching this happen. And we're going to make it possible for anybody to connect with those. This thing is really bad. Sorry about that. So a little bit about what we've been up to. So right now we have 14 customers in our sales pipeline. Basically, we went out and we started talking to people, different types of companies, trade shows, walking tour companies, museums, trying to validate the idea. And we had a 93% conversion rate from initial conversation to, yes, we're interested, please put us on our list. And we're sort of working through that list, trying to get up the capacity to bring on more customers and more projects. And it took us only 4 weeks to fill our initial development partnership slots. So this is what we have on the docket right now. Really exciting stuff. So we have a couple more lined up with Western Reserve, which I personally consider a victory because it shows that we have customers that we worked with that are coming back for more. We're also working with City Prowl on a number of 2 different projects. And then those bottom ones are with a traveling exhibit design firm that does pretty big national installations. And so we're working with them to hone the application and really expand the kind of media that we can include. They're really experts in this interactive media type of thing, and expanding our platform. So I guess I already did a demo. I intentionally wanted to leave a lot of time for Q&A since this is such a new technology. A lot of times there are a lot of questions and sometimes there aren't, so wanted to turn it over to you. Go back to here. So what questions do you have for me?
Is there any IP? Do you have any intellectual property from any of the...
No. So the question was about IP, whether or not we have IP. Actually, that was something that we explored a little bit. For this iteration, I'm not sure there is any. And the competitive advantage is really in the way we go to market, not necessarily in the technology itself.
So, quick question in terms of how you, I don't know, is this working? Yeah? No? Yes? No. Hello. So, quick question in terms of how you go to market and how you make the sale. So, is it a matter of trying to get people aware of the fact that they can join and actually get a more interactive demonstration? So, making the people coming to an exhibit aware that they have this app to download, so they come in, they add some awareness through a poster or some other means, then they download it, then they have the walkthrough. Obviously, they have a more rich capability walking through it through a museum or some exhibit or something of that nature. So it's a bit of a chicken and the egg in terms of how you get them there. But then, is your model based on how many download it, or how many use it, or how do you run those revenue proposals forward?
So there are a few questions there. One, how do we make people aware of our application when they're walking through a museum, for example? And two, how is our revenue structured? So to answer your second question first, we charge by the beacon. So basically it scales by the size of the installation. And currently we're not looking at a model that depends on the number of interactions or downloads, and part of that is because we're trying to be a provider and not necessarily become involved at the level of marketing the event once it's there. It sort of becomes folded into the experience of the exhibit, and then they market it just like they would an audio tour or anything else. And that definitely has its challenges, so that's something that we're sort of exploring. And your first question, right, sort of ties in, I guess, to that, is how do we make people aware? So one thing that we have on our side is that iOS 8 actually, and you can't see it because you're kind of far away, but there's a little icon in the bottom corner of your screen that will show up when you're near a beacon. And when you swipe up on that, it will automatically launch you either to the App Store if you haven't downloaded the app, or into our application if you have. So that really helps out. Besides that, we've been using QR codes and signs and sort of testing what we can to make people aware of it and having devices available for rent, things like that.
So, is this on? Yeah, okay. So I really like the idea of the museum aspect and having, you know, the various exhibits, and you walk up to them. But I've been to a number of Las Vegas trade shows this year, and iBeacons are everywhere. And I mean, it's the cat's out of the bag, and there's a lot of people using it. It's not proprietary for you.
Yep.
But so I think you need to find some unique applications of it and differentiate yourself by we're the museum experts, you know, we're some kind of an expert in the application, because they are already everywhere.
Yep, they absolutely are. And most of those are created by these companies that are pretty much custom development companies that have been called in for a large sum to create an application for a specific event. And that's great for those huge events. Smaller events don't necessarily have that option. And that's part of what we're trying to build, is a system that will allow anybody with no technical expertise, without having to contract out custom development, to be able to implement this kind of system. So in that way, the idea is we're working with these museums pretty intimately to build out a platform, and then once we have something that's replicatable, and then we make it available for those smaller to mid-size type events and things, we sort of turn it over into the hands of people and let them decide what to do with it. So that's sort of the logic. Go ahead.
So a customer is never going to listen to a solution, and certainly is never going to purchase a solution or adopt a solution until the customer first recognizes they have a problem, right?
Yep.
What problem do you solve?
It's an opportunity. So then the problem becomes if you don't get on board with the opportunity. Like George was just saying, these are everywhere. And this is a technology that is exploding. And if you trail behind that opportunity, then you don't have the ear of your customers. So take some museums, for example. One thing they're having a really hard time doing is connecting with the younger generation and being interactive and competing with staying at home and watching TV, right? They're competing with all those activities. And this allows them to connect with that younger generation and really compete and easily create a more interactive, novel experience.
I would really encourage you to do a better job at problem definition in your presentation, because again, most people are going to be tone deaf to solutions until they first accept there is a problem. So when you're pitching this to investors, when you're pitching this places like this, when you're pitching it to customers, make sure your customers understand and accept the problem, because they're going to be tone deaf to your solution until you do that.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Thank
almost
you.
like it's a little bit like it's a replacement, sorry, Cliff, a replacement for the, you know, the thing they've been walking around with in the museum for
Right.
years, right? It's like, here's the modern day version,
Yeah.
Yep.
more immersive, richer media.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think the differentiation I heard was you control the media yourself. You're not going to buy that from some company. You're going to create the media.
Right.
Versus custom development shop is going to create all that for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you do any of that yourselves? If they don't have that capacity, can you outsource that for them to build that content so they don't have to worry about building it themselves?
Honestly, for the first couple of customers, we've been at that level of involvement, but to scale effectively, I don't think that that's really a good long-term plan.
Well, the reason I ask is there may be a supplemental channel that you can tap into by way of other folks, agencies, media firms that see this as an avenue to enrich in the experience for their on behalf of their clients. So there
Yeah.
might be some other way of partnering too.
Yeah.
And ideally, if you could create, even if you gave it away for free to 10 museums.
Yep.
I think the story you want to be able to tell or to solve the problem that Jim's talking about is museums getting kind of stale, ticket sales have dropped, they put this in, ticket sales increased. So the cost of the system, you know, we got 10 times our return because we had more of a richer experience. If you had that kind of a story, then you'd be able to sell a lot of it.
Yep. Absolutely.
One of the things that we see oftentimes in what I do, my day job, so to speak, is spell out the problem right away. Because people don't like to change. And so if you're not able to really show them something better, that's going to give them a just better way of touching their customers, then, you know, it's just easier sometimes to keep doing what you're doing. So I think you got to come right out of the box and tell them the problem and work on that problem.
Yep. Absolutely.
Very
All right.
cool.
Well, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nobody else. Okay, thanks, Joan. I'm sorry I didn't have your name with me when I introduced you before. We've got Mike Cottrell from Beget.
Got a clicker for you.
Okay.
Drop that off. There you are.
Hi, everyone. I'm actually not Mike. He actually had a little girl delivered today, his first one. So I got a call a couple hours ago to come do this, and so I'm going to give it my go. So, but I am one of the co-founders of 3 from Beget, and quite simply, Beget is the easiest way for teams to write together. So what is the problem here? Companies are creating more digital content this year than ever before. Total of 91% of companies reported to eConsultancy that they needed a better way to create content to help customers and clients across multiple channels. Okay, so you know all these platforms out here right now. This is where content is currently produced. That creates a problem. The problem is that 93% of B2B marketing professionals view content creation as part of their daily job. But 70% of them say that creating that content is a huge challenge because there's a lack of time involved. So we're going to take a look here at Winning Edits. Winning Edits is a content marketing agency, and they have established a workflow to help manage their content. Okay? So what they have here is they have Google Docs, which is their content, Trello, which is how they manage their team and communications, Harvest, which is how they track time, and they spend $21 a month for this. Okay, this is how they manage their internal processes. This is their business. This is how they make money. 3 separate window applications that are open, 3 separate things they have to manage. They go into Trello, and they put links to the documents, and they say, okay, this is the project, this is when it's due. They hit a button on Harvest to say, start tracking the time, work on it, then use Trello to send a communication over to Google Docs and to the team members to say, hey, this is now done, and then hit the button on Harvest. Seems like a lot of work just to track what it is that they're doing. So Beget pairs lightweight project management tools with the modern writing process. We've taken everything that I just showed you and we put it together inside of a single web application. And the cool thing is that we actually give you metrics on what it is that you're doing. You can see in this example, 28 hours spent, there were 11,000 words added, and 1,000 words deleted. Here's who did what. You can hit here and see the aggregate, and then you can see there by user. So we've taken a very complicated and convoluted process and simplified it in a single application. All right, so validation and traction. We've actually ran a pilot and a closed beta period. We had about 1,000 companies inside of there and 11 pilot companies. Those pilot companies taught us that we were able to save about 4 hours per user inside of this system, and that time on average was worth about $60 an hour, okay? There was also an 11% reduction in the time spent editing during the pilot and a 15% reduction in the number of revisions, saving them time just by using our system. Our two all-stars inside of our pilot program was Santa Fe Reporter and Overdrive. These two companies together were able to save the equivalent of $2,100 a week in production time just by using our system. Now, the Santa Fe Reporter had about 12 people and Overdrive had about 20 people inside the system just working in it. So what does the market look like for our product? Well, marketing software spend is slated to grow to $32.4 billion by 2018. It's currently $20 billion right now, and we feel that we can serve $1.3 billion of that space. We've broken down that market into a couple segments, traditional and digital publishing, which those were Santa Fe and Overdrive, not by coincidence, SEO and SEM, web and creative and PR firms, and then business content departments inside of larger companies. So here's our checkbox slide. BGIT is the only collaborative writing tool that's blended with a project workflow, right? So here you have your Google Drive, then you have a pseudo workflow, you have your SharePoint plus your Word, you have BGIT in the middle, Harvest, which is time tracking, Wrike, which is the closest thing to what we have, but it's not quite, and then you have Woodwing, which is an extremely expensive, extremely heavy system that's built just for publishers. See all the check marks here, inside of here, activity notifications, we have all that. The one that we have that no one else has, which is the slide I showed you, is this applied business intelligence. That's what are we doing so we can learn. If you can't actually measure what you're doing, it's really hard to manage it and improve it. All right, so back to winning edits here. So again, content plus team plus data. They're paying $21 a month for 3 separate window applications they have to keep open and manage. You do it in BGIT, you get all that plus more, and it's $10 per user per month. Lots of value that we're adding there. All right, so how are we getting the message out here? So we have our inbound traction that we're running and our initial traction. We've actually been published recently in Media Bistro, Beta Feed, SitePoint, and Alternative 2. Those sites in September of 2014 had a combined 3.4 million hits on their site. So potentially we got in front of 3.4 million people. So those channels there go to the top of the sales funnel. This is how we're actually selling it. So we actually went out of the beta and launched on November 10th, and we started selling this platform. The people that we drew in from here go to the top of the platform, become engaged prospects. Those are the people that we're reaching out to sell it right now. There's 405 companies currently. 8 pilot companies we've already converted from the 11. They're actually paying to use the system. The sales average for those people was $100 in monthly recurring revenue. The average customer will have a lifetime value of $2,800, and the sales cycle takes about 6 to 8 weeks to actually convert them over. So the traction that we're getting right there, that's only a small part of the opportunity. Like I said, it's $1.3 billion. The serviceable addressable market is for companies and organizations up to 100 users, right? So that could be multiple departments inside of a larger organization. Those sales will average about $350 in MRR, monthly recurring revenue, and the average customer lifetime value will be $8,400 for that. So our local funding strategy is what we're doing right now to try and raise some money. This is our quarterly revenue through Q15. Something got screwed up there. So our system enhancements will give us the ability to pursue larger market with more aggressive marketing tactics. So we can scale up our outbound sales efforts, focus on the content marketing blitz, organic, paid, SEM, and develop resources to increase sales conversions through user activity. One of the things that we're doing is we're tracking what everybody is doing inside of our system. We know who's very active, we know who's not. We know the people who are generating lots of autosaves, that means they're writing. there's great opportunities to upsell those people that are currently in the system. And we have some things like archiving and things like that that we are potentially going to upsell them. So this is the team of people that are working on it. Chris is the guy up top. He's our CTO. He's the full stack developer who actually built the system. Mike is our CEO. He's our pitch guy. He's the one who just had the little baby. That's me on the bottom. We call ourselves Hacker, Hustler, Hipster because we think it's funny. But I'm the creative guy. I did the logo stuff. I'm responsible for the front end and some of the marketing traction stuff as well. The three of us together have been working for over 30 years inside of the content industries through our various experiences, and this is how we've identified that this is a problem that needs solving. I am not Mike, but you can reach out to Mike here if you have any questions or concerns. And I encourage you all to go sign up. There's a free trial for BGET right now if you want to go sign up. If you send an email to Mike and said, hey, I was at the Hudson Pitch event and I would like a little more time, I can extend your free trial a little bit more. But you'll have to email him, or you can just email me, jd@bget.com. So I went through that fairly quickly. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Is there, down the road, do you plan on calling on publishing companies as well?
Yeah, we need a little bit more. Publishing is not our strong suit right now. Our system actually does do some version control, and it actually exports out to multiple formats to make that easier. The real value that we're seeing right now, because that was one of our initial channels, the real value that we're seeing is actually getting the team to work together and actually monitor what they're doing and then give that intelligence to the content managers and the team leaders to let them know what their team is doing and how they can do it more efficiently. But that is something that we're looking at, certainly. We're kind of going after the low-hanging fruit right now as we see it. Yes?
So, and how are you, this is a great leading to the question, how are you going after that low-hanging fruit? These people coming into your site and these people you're making outbound calls to, and when you think of the heart of that market, what's the first place you call on?
So right now what we're doing is we had 1,000 people, a little over 1,000 inside of our beta, and we're actually converted them all to free trials now. Some of the people who are more active we're directly reaching out to. That was the funnel graphic in there. That's what Mike's doing right now. My job is to create more traction, get us published in a couple things. Product Hunt is coming up very soon, and we've got a couple other things. But the main thing right now is we already have people who use the system. They're very interested. We're focusing on converting them over.
I guess partly where it's getting from the top of that funnel, sorry, on the top of that funnel, is it, you know, outbound calling, or is it you buying keywords, or what is the plan?
We're
Because
actually-
that's a pretty steep curve on the revenue side.
Yes,
so.
we're doing direct reach outs with mail, and then if they are a large enough company, one thing that people do when they come into the system is they add in their team. So we can see exactly how many people that they're working with. So people who are more active, people who have added in a lot of team members who are getting a lot of value out of it, we're directly reaching out to those. The rest of them, we're hitting them with email campaigns of our current users. And some of the other things we're doing is the traction stuff, getting people to write about us. We've done a little bit of testing with some Twitter ads, and we've actually had pretty decent success with them. Right now we're focusing on things that aren't costing money to try and bring stuff in until we can bring in some revenue.
Okay.
But yes, we have done a little bit of keyword testing and things like that, and stuff through Twitter. So believe it or not, people who produce content and publish it, 90% of them are on Twitter, and they scream who they are. So it's actually pretty easy to reach out and find those people. Yes?
So you're focused on an industry that all three of you have a great deal of experience with, and that makes all the sense in the world to me. It seems like there's an analogous, I'm thinking of a couple of analogous industries. I was just curious whether you've thought of them or tested them in a different way, in a different fashion. No one writes more or publishes more than law firms.
Yes. We've actually heard that quite a bit, and we did a little testing, and it did not go well. So we've actually run quite a few tests to kind of see where we were gaining some traction, and not to offend any lawyers, but they don't want to listen to us at all. And one of the great things in our system is we actually show diffs, which means what was added, what was deleted, which is great for legal contracts.
Yeah.
If you go in and you make changes, you can just work as you normally will, then we track what those changes are, and then we show them to you, and you can actually mark them forever so they can't be overwritten. Perfect for legal. We tried talking to them, and it just did not work out. So I think it might be a little bit too far-fetched for them. Some of them had some concerns about actual security of the site. The whole site is on an SSL. It's very secure. It's just that was another hurdle. So we kind of are following the path of least resistance right now.
When Mike presented the Innovation Fund, there were a lot of educators from different colleges in the room, and they talked about possibly the platform being used in colleges.
Mhm.
Have you looked at that at all? It was been about 6
It's-
weeks since you were awarded this?
So it's something that we definitely have discussed and we want to do. It's a little more difficult because a lot of times when you give it to education, it's free. We want to be able to build up our infrastructure so we can get more users, and we don't want those people to potentially bog down the people who are paying for it. But that's absolutely something that we were looking at. Part of that is scaling up what we call the hive, which is where you actually write. And we want to actually build into that and make it a lot more stronger and solid before we then start letting some free people in.
So one other thought, since we're kind of throwing out ideas, I'm thinking of large banks, M&A transaction groups.
Mm-hmm.
They work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, doing these big projects. There's
Yeah.
5 to 10 people on a group, and they're exchanging God knows how many documents.
Yeah.
Same would be true for the Big Four, Deloitte, Price Waterhouse, et cetera.
Yeah.
So where they have these teams, there's a lot of paper going around, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
time sensitive. So that might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did, and actually if you go and sign up for the site, you can see this. We have a drop-down menu that says, hey, who are you? And it's required. You tell us who you are, a little bit about who you are and what, are you a developer, are you a writer, what do you do? And we had a lot of developers and we had a lot of content marketers and iterations on that. Those were the people. Now we didn't have anyone that might fit that bill. But those seem to be the people that were the easiest to reach and the ones that were the most responsive. We have all kinds of ideas actually on a, believe it or not, a Trello board that we keep moving around to say, like, these might be potential channels we can go into in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, so stick to what you know. That's great. I wouldn't be so quick to dismiss other verticals.
Yeah.
And because those aren't verticals that you really understand well.
Yeah.
Find a partner who does. And, it's a white label resell through, it's for law firms, LexisNexis or
Exactly.
whatever. I would not give up on those other verticals just because your
And-
initial touch wasn't good.
Exactly, and LexisNexis they actually sell websites to lawyers. So there is potential there too. They need some place to manage their content, and our system very cleanly exports HTML to your website. So that is a potential vehicle. The main thing that we're having a problem with is we have lots of potential markets and opportunities, and we're trying to keep it funneled. We do these monthly traction meetings where if we're ever dipping below 10% of what we deem acceptable for people converting them, then we kind of shuffle the deck a little bit and try some new things, run some tests, see where we're getting a little bit of buzz, and then we just kind of go at that.
So what are your fundraising plans, or are you in the midst of fundraising, or where do you see that headed?
We are in the midst. We actually just launched. We were in closed beta for a little while collecting data. We actually won the Glide A a couple of months back, and we were very glad to get that. We're actually starting the fundraising trail right now. We raised a little over $100,000 just friends and family round. That's been keeping us going for a while. We still have some of that money, but we're actually getting ready to scale up here. We want to build in a little bit more infrastructure, add a little bit, a couple more features that we really know we've gotten requests for,
Yeah.
and then start dumping gas on the fire.
So just something on those revenues, just take a look at the Pacific Crest data, and if you don't have it, I can send it to you. That'll
Okay.
benchmark all SaaS companies, and some of the key metrics you'll need to dig inside of for investors will keep you safe.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. If only everybody had his radio voice. Okay, next up, we have Corey Rudabaugh. Rudabaugh?
Oh, perfect. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am Corey Rudabaugh on behalf of Greenbuck Labs. We are actually introducing the Firefly Charger. We're right now in kind of the infancy stages of our product. It is one product. We do have two separate markets we're currently doing some investigation into. We are a small research and development company based out of Winona, Ohio, which is really close to Salem, Youngstown area. We are working on green technologies that should benefit most of humanity. We're only licensing the technologies to other organizations and collecting a royalty from that. Currently, we have a group of about 19 active shareholders, give or take. And what our real problem is we're trying to end the blackout. Currently, in developing nations, 20 to 25% of the world is without some sort of light, some sort of electricity. As you can see from the NASA photo, this was taken, I believe, last year. Most of the world is dark at night, except for a few of the most developed nations, Japan, United States, and most of Europe. Second problem is even in developed nations, if you're from the Akron area, you should remember 2003, real close to here, we tripped most of the eastern seaboard with a huge electrical blackout. These are still occurring, whether here or overseas. Storms, earthquakes, floods, and anything else that could go wrong. So what is the first thing you look for when it does go dark? Light. It's human nature that you want to have some sort of light source when it's dark outside. So our solution is a portable lighting kit. I brought one of our prototypes with us this evening. Give that to the gentleman. One light string can easily light a room. In a room this size, possibly two of our light strings. The vision is this: in a developing nation, we want to end the global blackout. Sub-Saharan Africa is one of the biggest places. There's just no lighting. There's no electricity. Everyone is fairly remote. In your developed nations, the personal blackout issue, whether that be in a power outage or even if you want to go off grid, you really still need light after the sun goes down. The United States is dark for a lot of the year. Oh, there we go. And our two business models. We do have a not-for-profit in the developing nations. We want the donations to come from the developed world and funnel that back into the not-for-profit through possibly a mission project. That is still under consideration on how it will be distributed as a non-for-profit. In your developed nations, we actually do want to sell these products. We want to do an online sale, plus possibly retail stores. And a portion of each of the sales will also go to the NPO. Alternatives currently in your undeveloped nations, your third world countries, you still get light from cooking fires at night. You're still going to get lanterns, but those require some fuel source, and candles in the places where you can get them. Developed nations, we have flashlights as long as the batteries last. And we also have gasoline generators as long as the gas is around. See, just exactly the same thing here. In developed nations, we want to make this their primary source of their home lighting. The heaviest is in Sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, we do have one of our prototypes currently being tested in Uganda. We've sent it over as an NPO. We're just going to test out in homes. Most of the homes in those areas are maybe half the size of this room. One light string per household will easily light the source. In your developed nations, we also want to use these for your emergency projects with FEMA, with other homes, churches, schools, and anyone off-grid. Nice thing about our product, it is weather resistant. It can be used anytime. It's a good, heavy, sturdy case. It's very portable, very lightweight. For your developed nation, we want to put that through some sort of channel. We still are working on getting those channels to where we can require the user to have some sort of weekly interaction to maintain product. In your developed nations, it's a sale thing. You buy it, it's yours. No fuel, it provides long-term light, and it will light multiple rooms if necessary. Light strings, one string should light one room. 72 hours continuous light. Of course, most of the time you're not going to be using that all the time. So if you're breaking that down, even if you're using it all night, the battery should last about a week. If you're only toning 33 hours a day, in the evening and maybe in the morning, you're looking at almost a month of continuous light. We want to eventually expand this to other things other than just the lights themselves. These will run on your standard AA's, which we can then push off into torches, maybe some power tools, other electronic devices. Currently, we're going to be launching a crowdfunding project and testing this domestically. We also do have, like I said, the product in Uganda. We will be getting feedback from that very shortly, we hope. And we're just licensing it to the spin-offs and to other companies and organizations. We will not personally manufacture or produce. I don't know. What we're seeing in the future is we need to launch the actual crowdfunding campaign. We do need to tweak some basic designs. We've found some flaws in even the prototypes. We are filing for a non-provisional patent. And we need to work on a little bit of reducing costs. The current costs of the product are mostly in the manufacturing cost. We need to get a hold of the manufacturers to see if we can get things at a wholesale price. What we'd like to use the funding for is actually some presentation equipment. We are a small research and development company. We have nothing for that. We need to set up some displays, and we also going to have some patent fees we need to take care of. Currently, we have 3 models we're looking into. The FC5 model, which will have 5 strings, the FC10, and the FC20. Each string of lights is currently running on 3 AA batteries. We'd like to reduce that to a 2 battery system, as well as beef up the chargers so we can charge actually more at a time. Some long-range forecasts, and I'd like to thank you guys. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
Yeah, I have a question. What is different about what you do, and what is your claims for the IP side?
The biggest thing we do differently is the actual charging of the lights themselves. The lights are your standard LED light. What we are doing is we want to capture the solar part of this. Actually, that was probably got left out. We had actually initially started using wind source to charge all of our units. When we started looking into the African market, wind is not, where we were looking was not a plentiful source. Sun was. In the actual kit itself, there are 2 solar chargers, as well as, I believe this is the FC12 model that doesn't exist, 12 strings of lights. So there'll be enough batteries and chargers for that one model to work for a continuous week and be recharged in the same amount of time.
But I guess the question, is that not something I can't buy off the shelf and put that together?
Absolutely.
So your secret sauce in that scenario, I don't think this is working.
Yeah, it's
your secret sauce is then what?
Is then we have done it and no one else has yet.
Right, but if they can, then they're going to be hard to get a patent, right?
Our biggest thing is pushing this to the overseas market where this product does not exist.
Okay.
And I guess that's where my line of questioning is. Is this, am I on here?
Yeah.
You are.
Is, I'm hearing, as I would expect to hear from an R&D company, a lot about the technology.
Right.
But what I'm not hearing is, we've talked to these 3 outsourced manufacturers who are going to build it. We've talked to these distribution channel partners who said, if it works as you say it will, I can sell the hell out of this. I'm not hearing the whole business side, and that needs to be in a presentation like
absolutely. Actually, I'm not our CEO. I should have prefaced with that. He does have some connections. I do not know where he stands on this just as of right now. We are still really in our infancy. We have not made those connections yet. We're still waiting on the data to come back from the test markets to see if this is even a viable source to look at overseas. Will it be worthwhile to sell here in the United States? So yeah, we are still in process.
One of the things you might want to look at before you spend a lot of money on the IP is that if it's just regular product off the shelf, as John said, and if it's something, I'm not an attorney, but if it's something that the normal person could put together, then I don't think you'd be able to protect it. So
Right.
look at that part before you spend a lot of money.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think we have an IP attorney in the house. If he would raise his hand, George, maybe, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So might be able to help on that point. But, you know, to George's point, if you have a royalty model, you have to run that revenue all the way out, because
Absolutely.
in those kind of situations, you need to sell a lot for a firm to have enough revenue to
Exactly,
pay
yeah.
for everything, depending on its selling price. It's just something to have that
Okay.
built out for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Stephanie Sutton, Hudson Zone Stephanie Sutton, of Digital Animation for Kids.
Is this on? Wow, how I wish that my students would be here tonight. I am blown away by all of this different technology. I'm just so excited to be here, and I hope that something that I do actually makes some of my students become the next people who are, I'm not even sure what that is, but that's phenomenal. And I love Left House. I'm just so impressed, and I'm excited.
I think mine's
Is this better?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm excited just to be here. This process has been so much fun. I have never honestly taken the time to build a business model, so bear with me while I sort of run through this with you. Okay, my name is Stephanie Sutton, and I have built and sold over 220 copyrighted children's lessons in animations, movie making, audio creation, web page design, 3D modeling, and a little bit of gaming. I've been in business since 2007. I'm based here in Hudson, Ohio, and I've grown from 1 person to 5 part-time teachers. As of 2011, I'm also teaching virtually. Okay. I am now seeking the $3,000 to employ some regional contacts for our virtual classes in Pittsburgh, Ann Arbor, and Naperville. I'd like to also expand our brand and staff here in Northeast Ohio and build our current sales revenue from about $1,000 to about $10,000. I have picked Pittsburgh, Ann Arbor, and Naperville because they're relatively close. They have great big public schools, and there is a growth potential there for enrichment classes. In 1995, I graduated from West Virginia University, moved to Atlanta, and started my technology career. I went all over the United States installing big help desk systems. And back then, there was a big lag between all this funky technology and what a client would understand and what a client would buy. I was the trainer, I was the explainer to our clients. I wrote a lot of tech manuals, I did a lot of tech talking. When we needed to sell another project, I was always on the team. I knew from that experience that I wanted to start teaching children at some point and really get them involved in how exciting development can be. I had the opportunity to go to Carnegie Mellon University in 2002. I not only went to school there and got a master's degree there, but I also worked there. And I was able to, under an Army grant, learn how people learn. I learned 2 big things. People learn visually, and they learn by repetition. Okay. In 2003 to 2007, I started working specifically with children. Simultaneously, I started having children. And I decided in 2007, let's take the big leap and open my own company. Okay? Digital Animation for Kids was born. As my children started getting older and going into the school system, I started becoming very concerned with the amount of time that they're spending in computer labs, that they're learning anything on their Chromebooks, Because guess what, folks? We have this fantastic school system here. I'm not knocking Hudson Public Schools. I love them. However, we don't have any standards for computer language. We don't have any standards for computer science. I ask my 5th grader, what do you do in your computer lab? What do you do on your Chromebooks? We take our big standardized tests, Mom. Oh, great. They're not learning about lights or the little left house. They're learning how to type faster. No kidding, they're really learning how to type faster, okay? Very disappointed about that. Every school is different. They're different in their computer equipment. They're different in how long their students are actually in a computer lab. Only 65% of high schools have programming classes across the United States. Just 10% of that 65% has AP or advanced placement computer science classes. That's shameful. Our friends in the UK and China years ago established technology standards where children as young as 5 years old are actually learning how to code and program. Okay, let's talk about jobs here in Ohio. It's a very popular subject. We are a computer-driven industry. We have over 16,000 jobs open right now in computers. And guess how many computer science graduates we have each year? 1,300. 1,367. Guess how many how many schools are teaching in the entire state computer science? 139. That's horrendous. And it happens to be more than some other states. What is our solution? Digital animation for kids, right? After school, virtual school. I have taken my tested, proven, interactive lessons for $120. Your student can learn everything from a very basic image creation to digital animation, to audio creation. Then we jump into HTML and a little bit of web design. Then we go into 3D modeling. We move into gaming. And I have started to use Ruby for some app development. Fun stuff. Okay, I want to show you a quick clip of what my students have made. And this is just in a couple of classes. So let me see if I can. These are our future Pixar animators here. Okay, let's see if the computer teacher can get back to her PowerPoint. Is right there? Okay. I love having a tech do stuff. That's fantastic. Okay. So we must be on to something, right? We are now teaching in 45 different zip codes in Ohio. I'm teaching in 5 different states. And let's not forget my 2 international locations in China and the Philippines. In 2014, I've taught 150 students. 2015 forecast looks even brighter. I have 250 students enrolled with purchase orders from Akron Public Schools, Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, Cuyahoga County Public Library, web sales, and more. We're scheduled to make just under $30,000, and with very limited expenses because we're nearly all virtual now. So how do we make a sale? Schools and libraries buy large packages, parents buy packages through our online sites, our websites, our Pinterest, our Facebook pages. We love our homeschoolers. They are great for us. They buy a lot of sites, a lot of packages for us. I'm so pleased to say that 1 in 5 students is a repeat student, and 90% of our students complete their online work. Compare that to a MOOC, where I think it's 10%. Revenue, it takes me just my time to make each lesson, and I can charge about $10 per class. I could probably charge a lot more, and I could probably move into the adult section. I happen to have a passion for teaching children, and I love teaching children. I don't know if I would change that. I like to schedule classes 12 in a session. After they learn that 12, let's go ahead and move to the next, to the next, to the next. So that's about $120 times 150 students this year, 18,000. Next year, 30 grand. Revenue chart, again, if I teach 250 students next year, I will make about $30,000. Not bad for a part-time virtual school. My students have grown from 15 when I started out in 2007 to a projected 250 starting soon. I want to take that and I want to make it 300 per region. So this would be one region, Pittsburgh, Ann Arbor, Naperville, and as I expand out, I'd like one person to control each region. I have limited expenses. Let's go into the product. Okay, it's easy to use. You buy your class package online, I email you your login information, you go ahead and you pull up your lesson, you communicate with me, you communicate with your peers that could be all over the world, you ask questions, then you complete your assignment, you turn it in, and you receive your grade. We build your portfolio online, which you can share. Easy to access. You just need an internet connection. You can work whenever and wherever. You can use a computer, a laptop, an iPad, Mac, Chromebook, and you can share your work just as easily. This is the methodology that I've designed, that it took me a long time to get here. But I build an assignment with a great theme, a Disney theme, a Pixar theme, DreamWorks, Lucas, everything from an Avatar to Frozen to sci-fi to an animal theme. Then I use the same steps each lesson. And each lesson we design, we test, we share, and we discuss. We discuss with peers, we discuss with parents, we discuss with teachers. Then we publish our work. All right, so a class package. The first third of my classes, of my 12 classes, are just opening the programs, practicing, learning where everything is on your program, drawing shapes, lines, shading, saving your work. In this example, this is one of my most popular classes right now. It's a Frozen class, and I actually teach the students how to make sort of a similar Elsa. And we've discovered that her nose is an upside down parentheses. You can get it really, really close when you do that. Then we take everything, all of our graphic images, we stick them into Movie Maker or iMovie. We put a little Audacity behind for the music. We run them together very quickly. The old Disney mouse where he drew Mickey and then made a whole bunch of them moving. That's exactly what we do.
Stephanie, we're running out of time.
Oh, golly. Okay, then we move into web page. Then we go into our 3D modeling and our gaming. Each region targets a specific school, and we maximize that online attendance. You can share your school assignments. You can use your animations and videos for your college applications, for internship possibilities, for entrepreneurial projects, for contests. There are many industries that we don't even think about when we think about animation, like airlines and media and finance. And finally, let's jump on board. December 8th, it is Computer Education Week, National Week of Code. It's code.org. This is my favorite saying from a guy I know we don't like here. Dwayne Wade said, learning to code is as important as learning to read. Thank you, and invest now for our next set of great computer programmers. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, God.
Stephanie, where do you want to take this business in 2 or 3 years? I mean, right now you've had kind of modest beginnings, but you're very passionate about it. I think you're right on in terms of your curriculum. But where do you see this going? Where do you want it to go?
Thank you. Okay, I have explored a franchise model. Franchising, for those of you who don't know, costs $250,000 though. So I don't have a whole lot of $250,000, but I'd like to go ahead and, let's say, grow the Pittsburgh market. They're using my model, they're using my lessons, and they get a royalty fee. I already have teachers picked out for my 3 different markets, and so they would get a percentage of all their packages.
But you want to make a
bought.
really, really big business out of this. Is that correct?
Do I want to be a really big business
I
person?
mean, do you want to just teach kids, and that's great, and you have a mission involved? Do you want to
I
make a
have
lot of
someone
money and
who
really
is
grow something
interested
big?
in taking this into the adult model, and I would say that that's big business. If I charge $10 per student now, a small child, I think that we could charge $30 or $40 to teach an adult. So yes, there's a lot of potential there. I don't quite know how much I can scale this being one person. I have to get a team.
I was just going to say, just in the interest of time, either a business advisor or somebody that can help you from the standpoint of modeling the pricing, modeling, the go-to-market strategy, modeling, I see a perfect example for a subscription-based model as opposed
Thank
to a
you,
one-time.
yes.
So I think there's a lot of richness here that you've proven a lot of the basics already. You just need that business partner to help you.
Thank you.
There's a lot of resources in Northeast Ohio.
Yes, sir.
Be more than happy to give you cards, so would Jim, to be able to expose you to some people. Because, the question becomes, with 25, with how many, 250?
Yes, sir.
Now, you really have to get a lot bigger even before you thought about franchising. So, how can you take this and kind of wrap the, kind of a good business idea and take it forward? But there's a lot of resources, but there's a great need for programming. I mean, we all deal in this field.
Yes, sir.
And there's a huge need for the programming.
Yeah, I think I can speak for all 4 of us that we are acutely aware of the problem of not enough technology people out there. So I get the value proposition, and I really respect the way you're going about it. But $30,000 in 2015 sounds to us like you own a Dairy Queen. It's too small. It's a lifestyle business. It's not something a stranger is going to fund.
Okay.
Grandma or friends and family might, but a stranger is not going to fund a $30,000 business.
Okay.
So to take Cliff's
Fair enough.
advice and find a business advisor, going through channel partners, some distribution way, whatever, but there needs to be some exploration of how you're going to be $10 million a year in recurring revenue. That's the kind of story an outside investor wants to hear.
Okay.
So I guess my question was, I was a little confused. Are you a B2B company or a B2C company?
B2C.
Okay, strictly B2C.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're not trying to sell to schools.
No, I don't try to
Okay.
sell to schools. I
Okay.
distribute through schools. But Akron Public Schools came to me and said, hey, can you build a class in HTML? Can you build a class in healthcare? Can you build a class in animation? And I said, yes, absolutely. And that's an after-school model. I'm not trying to run into, and George and I have discussed this, you're going to run into union problems and other goodies when you get into the big schools. So this is all after school. And yes, this is an after-school model, absolutely. I have 4 small children. I cannot think about $10 million in revenue. I can't think about $10,000 in groceries. So I have to take this step by tiny step by tiny step, but I love this. This has been so much fun. I've never written anything down like this. I just teach my classes. I call people, see if they want more, teach them again. That's it. So thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Next, we have Erica from Package.
I've got it.
All right. How many people in this room own a smartphone? Raise your hand. Take a look around. That's about majority of the people in this room, yeah? All right. So now that we've identified that. Oh, what just happened? Okay. All right. By the end of 2014, approximately 164 million people will own smartphones. That's projected to rise every year. Our smartphones are equipped with accelerometers, gyroscopes, magnometers, and are constantly connected to the internet on the go. It allows us to see cool things that our friends own, the amazing places that we go, and tons of other things. We can compare prices, etc. But what about the ability to act on impulse based on the envy of the things we see around us and the things our friends are owning? Even with the sensors held in the palm of your hand, it requires a lot of work. What do we have to do? So far, we have to identify what they're wearing, we have to research what they're wearing, browse, shop, and then finally order it. It's a long and lengthy process. Welcome to the change. We are Tag and Snag, and we create on-demand mobile commerce at the moment of inspiration. The moment you see it, you can buy it in quick, easy steps. How does this work? Well, up here, I have a little demonstration, but we're in a crowd of people, so how about we do it now? So, let's say I'm sitting right where I was, and I see Stephanie with her bright green dress on, and I want one for myself. Right now, what do we have as technology to be able to identify what that is and buy it on the spot? Nothing. From the angle I have to take a picture with Google goggles or some other application, I have barely an edge of her dress to identify that and have Google goggles identify it for me to buy. What are some things that are going through my head when I'm sitting there? I'm thinking, I don't know Stephanie. We're in a crowd of people supposedly listening to the speaker right here. She's probably concentrating really hard on that. I don't want to interrupt her. I don't want to ask her questions, oh my gosh, where'd you get your dress? Or where'd you get your watch? So how do we solve this? Well, Tag and Snag's app works with Tag and Snag's technology. We're using tags, and how it works is you just turn on the app, just like so. You hit scan. It's going to give you an image search of all the products in the room. You can filter it down. So I'm looking for Stephanie's green dress. I identify that it's a dress and that it's green. From those images, okay, that's not working. It'll give you product information, the brand, where you can buy it. You can buy it right then and there, or you can have it shipped to your doorstep. You can find it at your nearest store. So maybe I need to wear it out tonight. I can buy it right next to the shopping center, right next door. All right, so how does this all work? It works with Bluetooth technology, Bluetooth LE. Specifically, we are trying to engineer Bluetooth LE tags to also work off of body heat. We want to charge these tags, the battery that Bluetooth functions off of, with your body heat. It gives us a 65-foot range. Those tags are waterproof. They can be laundered with a special coating, and they are I lost my train of thought. So we're going to continue. Our competition to Bluetooth is NFC. We explored that possibility due to the fact that they're cheaper. However, they do not meet the range from distance. I would have to be right next to a person getting real snuggly to really get any information off that. So we're going to use Bluetooth. And the brands that are going to use this, we anticipate fast fashion brands really picking up on this right away. Trendy customers, we have to get this into the market so people can use it. So something that is one season and you're done, to pick it up right away. Their actual customers are going to be teens, large percent females, contemporary to moderate price point. But it doesn't just have to be fashion. It could be the chair that you're sitting in right now. You want to know where to get one for your house? Click of a button. My customers, however, are the B2B market. I work with the retailers, and they get a lot of benefits out of these tags. First thing they get is there's no more substitution sales. No more am I searching Google for hours trying to find Stephanie's dress, to never find it, and to just settle on something slightly similar from another brand. I'm giving brands a second sale from the initial customer. Next, product authenticity. We're working currently with the NFL. We see this being in handbags, watches, things where authenticity is really important to the consumer. NFL, for instance, they're using jerseys. Jerseys, you don't want to be approached by a vendor and buy a knockoff jersey. If you spend $200 and it's not even real. That right there is a $300 million market or billion-dollar market that they lose sales on every year. Next, they're going to gain really valuable marketing data. The retailer puts out this season's product. They put it on the East Coast and the West Coast. Now you can identify, based on the demographics and everything else about your customer, which side of the continents it's selling better on. So maybe next season you anticipate that it's selling better on the East Coast because you're getting real-time data as it's happening. And if those aren't good enough reasons, how about just the fact that e-commerce is becoming a huge revolution and more people are using mobile to buy things? So far, as I mentioned, my competition, Google Goggles, Slice, works in the same way. They got $12 million in funding just to make Google Goggles better in what it does. But still, it's not casual. I do not have to ask her a question. I do not have to be near her. I don't have to focus my camera in any way, shape, or form. It's casual information gathering. So far, our next steps are to continue developing a prototype. We have gone through the process of research, so we have developed exactly how we want to develop the tag. We want to push forward more with the harvested energy aspect of it, involving the body heat. So we also have IP that's finishing up this month. We've done extensive research on the IP information, and we are clear to go on that. And after that, we're going to get back in touch with the NFL and really put forth a product to them. That's lots of numbers and all that good stuff. But in reality, we need to develop the technology. That's going to be the most cost part. We have to have software developers on staff for the application, the dashboard that the retail companies are going to be using and such. After that, our revenue comes from 10% as a commission for the scan to buy aspect. We also have, of course, advertising, primary suggested source. So let's say you have Kohl's and JCPenney's both selling the same item of Ralph Lauren. You now have Kohl's that's paying for when you hit it, buy it now, you're getting it from Kohl's. And then marketing report for the retailers and aggregate data that we're selling. Like I said, next steps are to continue with the prototype and get it ready for production. And in the future, we expect to do things like how-to videos and manuals. Let's say you go to Walmart and you buy a furniture item that you have to build at home. Now all you have to do is scan the item, and it'll tell you a step-by-step video on how to put that together. Or maybe you can download a PDF on how to put it together. We expect coupons, so when you scan Stephanie's dress, you might get a coupon from that retailer saying 10% off now. Expanded product markets, like I said, anything in anyone's hand, jewelry, watches, glasses, anything like that, we can put this on. We expect to have individual store login accounts in the future. We want each individual store, just like Chico's right down the street, they can update their inventory with the use of the tag to tell you that it's there in your size, in the color you want it in right now. The people working on my team is myself. I'm a fashion designer, so I have extensive connections into the fashion industry. I am also working with my chief technology officer. His name's Farron. He has extensive knowledge in RF applications, and he's just amazing and has blown us away. And I have a few venture coaches backing me, Jim, Lori, and Kate right there. We are also a profile company of the Youngstown Business Incubator. Thank you, Jim. And that is all. Any questions?
Your
biggest dependency, from what I can, sorry, your biggest dependency is the tag, is that right? That having the
Yes.
tag in a piece of clothing so that hopefully everybody here would have one, is that correct?
That's correct. It's going to take some time for simultaneous adoption. So we have to be able to infiltrate everyone's clothing, essentially, the new things that are coming out and people are buying. But then at the same time, we have to get the retailers to start using it and for the public to be aware that it's going to take a few times where it might not exactly work. So to remedy that problem, we're going to, again, go back to the picture aspect of it if it comes down to it and have people on staff that would be identifying those objects for just a short while until everything becomes tagged.
So the retailer is putting the tag on the piece of clothing, not the manufacturer?
Yes. How it works is the retailer themselves are, they hire out tag manufacturers in the industry, and they give the tag manufacturers what's called a tech pack, which is right there. And that tech pack goes from their tag vendors. So we're just going to act just like their tag vendors. We're not interrupting their process by any means. Instead of just regular old-fashioned tags, we're just giving them smart tags. They're going to give us their tech pack. We're going to make those tags to their specifications and then send them to their cut and sew factories.
So it's a replacement for the current
That's correct.
Security tag that's on the clothes now?
Not the current security tags. Those are for like checkout and things
Right.
like that, the RFID tags. No, it's just going to replace your actual apparel tags.
Oh, okay.
I think if you looked into it, you could have the security tag and that tag all is one sensor.
That is
So
correct.
It's going to be a sensor, basically, that would have to be.
We could do it that way. We're anticipating maybe examining that option in the future. Just right now, we're kind of staying away from it due to their IP on that aspect of tags. So that's something we would like to venture into in the future.
But I think that gets a little tricky because they take it off now, the security tag.
Those
So
are the
you'd have to
ones,
have,
yes.
they would have to have some kind of device to deactivate that portion of the signal. Otherwise, they're going to think you're stealing the item when you leave the store.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to evaluate that for if we do venture into that side of things, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Jordan Investments. And I know that Patrick Jordan is under the weather right now, and he has an associate that's going to be presenting for him.
My name is Patrick Jordan, and I want to introduce a product to you. It's a multi-station smoke detector, and what it does is eliminate the problems you have with having to change the batteries. It's solar, it's got 3 sources of power, it has a trickle charge in it, it constantly charges the battery. It has solar, and you can screw it right into a light socket. It doesn't eliminate your light because you can screw the light right into the smoke detector unit itself. If you're interested in voting, you can go to sharktankzone.com and vote for a multi-station smoke detector. The unit itself is patented, so it's new technology and it'll work.
Hi, everyone. So we showed that little video just because Patrick couldn't be here tonight, but just a couple of questions for the audience. How many of us own a smoke detector at home? How many of us know that the smoke detector is working? How many of us know when the last time was that we changed the batteries? So when you hear that annoying sound when you walk into the room and it's beeping at you, do you take it off the wall or off the ceiling and sit it down and immediately go get the battery? Or do you kind of leave it there as a reminder that I need to go get batteries? Right. And that's something that most of us do. And unfortunately, you kind of don't realize that, oh my gosh, I need to get this replaced until you hear of some tragic emergency or a horrific story in the news about a family and so forth, and those things that you just never think will happen to you. What Patrick has done I will apologize in advance. I don't have a lot of information regarding it. This is really short notice, but it's the whole idea of using solar technology, and that's where he has his patent on, so that we're not relying on batteries. I know personally, I, as a small woman, don't want to grab a ladder and untwist the that's all a hassle to me. I don't have time. People don't have time to do that. I like the idea of being able to use a socket, which we did bring a couple of prototypes, where you can literally just attach it into a lamp, a tall lamp, and you can still have the protection that you need without, the whole idea is to make it convenient, not to worry about batteries being charged, not having to worry about even buying batteries. There are so many Americans that can't even afford to go and buy batteries. So you might be able to get the smoke detector unit free from your local fire department, and they will supply you with a 9-volt battery. But then once that does run out, how does it get replaced? Who's going to replace that battery for you? So I'm just going to read a little bit about the unit. Sorry, I don't have a lot of visual graphics to go along with this presentation, so please bear with me. So it is a smoke detector that comprises 3 different power sources. The first one is the 110 by 220 volt AC house current through a step-down transformer, or that can be hardwired into the home or factory. Second one is a movable 9-volt rechargeable backup battery. Third one is a solar cell array with a plastic lens that provides up to 9 volts of current through a trickle charger / voltage regulator. The trickle charger also used to recharge the backup battery with the trickle charger. The solar cell array can cause the smoke detector to alarm with only enough ambient light. The instant invention of the smoke detector unit overcomes the limits of the now market available smoke detectors. By being adjustable, movable, providing more current via the solar cell array to provide a complete recharge to the backup battery, any voltage lower than 9 volts will lower the charge of the 9-volt rechargeable battery to the current 8 volts to 8 volts and so on up to 9 volts. So it is seen that a unit that does not have a voltage regulator system cannot provide complete protection. This system will also overcome the need for a skilled person to install the unit.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Terry Moore. I'm a friend of Patrick's. We grew up, played football together, and friends through high school, and we've been friends. So he called me and explained to me his situation, and like most friends, I can just say yes. I'm going to come here and I'm going to represent your product and try to convey what you would say if you were here. But he's not here, so I'm going to do my best. I did meet with him, and he gave me the rudiments of how the object works. So the problem here is a smoke detector that uses a conventional 9-volt battery. That's one form of power. Okay. Depending upon where you buy the battery from, if it's a Duracell, it's probably going to last a little longer than your one that you buy from Walmart or at the dollar store for 50 cents. So the problem is a smoke detector is non-functional as a result of a failed battery or loss of power, loss of voltage inside of the home. So what Patrick did, his idea was to develop a multi-station smoke detector, and as Dion said, something that has 3 forms of power. It has solar power, it has conventional 110 power from your home, and then it also has a trickle, a battery that's being constantly charged. And it looks something like this. Right now, the product is in its infancy stage, but this right here is just a prototype of how it could look. And as Dion said, it can be screwed into any light socket, and it can be used as a regular light, just like any other light. The problem with the standard type is that it doesn't have a light, so it's just on the ceiling, and sometimes it kind of just gets fed into the ceiling and you kind of overlook it. Sometimes you go test it and it does nothing. Well, this thing right here has 3 forms of power, so if the voltage in your home goes out, then the solar power is going to kick in. If the solar power is not going to work, then the trickle charge is going to work as far as the battery. Now, I do know there's some 10-year lithium batteries that you can put and that you can buy, and sometimes, those are supposedly, it's good for 10 years, but everything possibly can fail. So with this right here, this actually has 3 forms, and, you're still going to test it, but to reduce the likelihood of it failing, that's why Patrick developed something that every home needs. Every home has a smoke detector, and basically not 1, but 5 or 6. I know you can never have too many, so I think I probably have 7 in my home. So I want to make sure that every room is protected. So as I said, if you guys have any questions about some of the specifics, Patrick's email is Patrick, number 3, Jordan, Jordan, at yahoo.com. Patrick3Jordan at yahoo.com. And he can answer, some of the questions that I can't, but as I said, I'm going to attempt to answer, as many as I can, and just a crash course of how he told me this thing works. I like it. I mean, it's definitely something that's applicable to every home because every home has smoke detectors. So this right here is the prototype, as I said, and the intent is to develop the unit into a beta where it can actually be, tested, in controlled situations. But right now, this is just the prototype of how it will look. And this solar cell here is sort of big, and these things come in all different sizes, and just the whole technology of solar cell technology. And the intent of his is to have it small and compact, so it's easy to manage. So I'll pass this. I'll let the judges take a look at this real quick. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. And
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yes.
So when it's screwed into the light socket, that's the AC power from the
Correct.
home. And then you have a power outage, the battery would kick in, that's charged because of the trickle charge of the
Correct.
solar.
Yes.
So my only concern, not a concern, I just want you to consider this. The chances are it has to be UL rated, which is very time consuming and very expensive. So it has to go through all kinds of independent lab testing.
Sure.
And to get that UL stamp of approval before, anyone's even going to take a look at it. And last time I looked, that's between $50,000 and $100,000 to go through that process. And so, you just should be on your radar of something to look into.
Exactly. Yeah. And currently, the idea is patented. Dion has to patent it right here on her end. But we understand that there are some things that's going to have to be refined and tweaked, and that is one of the ones that we did identify. But yeah, it's a standard.
Now, this particular piece here, this is just off the shelf, right? I mean, he didn't make this, and this is a GE light bulb.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's just for the same.
Just
Yeah.
basically off the
Yeah.
shelf.
Because most ideas, people like to see it. It's a prototype, and that's exactly what we're trying to convey here. So it's an actual prototype. Instead of trying to make you guys paint ideas in you guys' mind, we want you guys to see something that, as a result of how it could look. So yeah, this is something that Patrick's been working on for some time, and it's something that's dear to his heart. So the least I can do is try to come represent it as well as I could.
Quite admirable to do that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. You're a good friend.
I don't think I have any friends that would do it.
Well, now I'm one up. If I need a favor, I got him. Yeah. Yeah, so, but yeah, his plan is to develop some funding, and as I said, to move it from a prototype to a beta. And once he gets into the beta, then we can make the adjustments. There's some things with the electronics that'll have to be tweaked a little bit, but this is the rudiment idea right here.
Thank you. Great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna have them repair to the other room, and it'll take about, if you can hold tight for about 5 minutes, and then make your decision. And, we will. I'm gonna take a show of hands as there, we're gonna take an audience poll, if we could. I'd like to know, well, I'll tell you what, maybe, we'll have a show of hands for your favorites. First is Began. Let me get something to write with. Well, we're only voting once. Yeah, we're just gonna take audience favorites, okay? We're not gonna take first, second, and third. So your favorite, vegan, okay, 1. Okay, tag and brag. Firefly, that's Green Buck Labs. Lufthouse, that was our first presenter. Digital animation for kids. And Jordan Investments, which is the one we just saw. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I called my wife and said, I don't think until after 9.
I told my wife, I think we'll be done by 9 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to one right door. I think I'm getting a strep throat or something.
You're going to drink?
Huh? John was gonna, they could go get some dinner.
I better get my
It was funny, I was thinking of Cliff when he said, who has a smartphone here? He wouldn't have, I don't mean Cliff, Dennis. Yeah, he wouldn't have.
Dennis still doesn't have a smartphone. No, he has no smartphone.
We waiting for,
Waiting for Ellen? Ellen? Ellen, where's he ready? I'm ready. You ready?
Got them turned over, just.
yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Third second.
Yeah, all right, third, second. Who we got? Who's doing the announcement here? Okay, who we got here? Third place, winning $500, is Digital Animation for Kids. Hang around, we're going to take some pictures.
Thank you.
And we're going to take some pictures afterwards, so don't run out with your fake check. Okay, second place goes to Lufthaus with $1,500.
Congratulations.
Okay, and the grand prize winner, $3,000, goes to Beget. There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all for coming. I do have some program evaluation forms that I'll pass around, and I'd love it if you could let us know what you think of tonight.
Yes, please do.
Sure.